Alright, so one of the things we are not around here is fancy. We do not have fancy things. We don't have a budget for fancy things, so we're trying to get creative. This is a potato patch. I didn't even have to clear this spot. The dog had been digging here, so there was no grass here anyway. It was just dirt. So what I did was I pulled the potatoes that I had forgotten about in the pantry out here, and I just kind of threw them all haphazardly, and then I covered them very lightly with composted mushroom blocks here. This was our own mushroom compost, and then I covered it with magnolia leaves because they are free and they're plentiful. Potatoes, from what I understand, it's my first time growing potatoes. They don't necessarily like to be buried. If you dig a trench, put the potatoes in the trench, throw mulch or hay over them, you'll have a bountiful harvest. So this is my version of that. This is my trench. There's probably 4 or 5 different kinds of potatoes in here. I just seen a bunch of them sprouting and decided to leave them and collected enough and then threw them out there in the potato patch. I need to get some more bird seed. This is my little bird feeder area. Like, I made this. This is probably a candle holder votive something that I found at a yard sale. This is I think this is a butter dish that I also found at a yard sale, and I just put it on a piece of wire out here. The birds don't care what it looks like. They feast. So I also decided to do bitter melon this year. I really like bitter melon. I like it for my teas. It's an amazing vegetable that we do not take. We do not use it enough. Westernly, it's like a Chinese thing. Ancient Chinese secrets. Bitter melon. So this is my bitter melon patch. I really didn't do much for this at all. I didn't have like money for a fancy trellis or anything, but I did have this netting. This is a garden netting. So I really just kind of put it up here around. This isn't permanent, obviously. This is just for a harvest. We'll kind of see how it goes. And then I had this post. I just put it here to attach the netting to with, what is this, twine. And all my little toothpicks here, hopefully, will be bitter melon gourds. The gourds are edible. You can eat them off the vine just like you would any other gourd. But if you dehydrate them, you can reconstitute them and use them in saute, or like what I do is I brew them with tea, because bitter melon naturally helps reduce your glycemic index, which means it'll help reduce food cravings, and it is terribly good for you. This space is kind of like my experiment space, my little cypress tree nursery. I've got some jackfruit here that survived the winter, but still kind of looking sus. So these guys, this one looks the best. These guys are chilling there. What I wanted to show you was this Japanese or Chinese, I don't know, tomato ring. We'll call it a tomato ring. I heard about it a long time ago and I've never actually done it, so I'm doing it this year. I started tomatoes. They're really tiny right now in cocoa coir. Basically I built this fence. It's all temporary. So I'm already seeing that I might need to make some adjustments on its location for our next batch. So anyway, I made this very temporary. There's tomatoes all the way around it. So since tomatoes are heavy feeders, they love their nitrogen, they love their organic matter, this is working as a compost. We're here underneath our tangerine tree. Voila. This area does get a lot of sun. during the hottest part of the day, but it's evening now, so it's kind of shaded. But I just threw all the tangerines that were on the ground in here. I broke up 2 mushroom blocks, which is what you see here. These are the mushroom blocks. And then a bunch of stuff we had in the fridge, a bunch of veggies and stuff that were going bad. So hopefully the mushroom blocks are going to help break down the food, and the tomatoes, since they're heavy feeders, are going to love that. And I think this is the biggest one. And they're going to grow big and strong and give us a nice harvest. So that's the plan. I'll give you an update in a couple months.